Hey everyone, it's Evgeny here. It's going to be a bonus lecture on Endpoint VPN. As we've talked before, Checkpoint has different types of VPN, remote VPN, it has site-to-site VPN. And as for the remote type of VPN, where you have to install a client on a machine and connect to your server, to your internal resources, we have different types of that. We have secure remote, we have mobile for Windows, and the last thing that we haven't touched in the lab is called Endpoint VPN. It is a completely different thing focused on protecting your computer. It is basically an antivirus client that has antivirus, it has application control, it has Sandblast, which is has a name for it. It's called Sandblast agent. Basically what it is able to identify unknown malware and protect your computer from that. Actually, I'm going to release a whole new course on Sandblast. It's a whole new topic. It's really big, but anyway, VPN is contained within the Sandblast agent, and over here I want to show you how to deploy it, how to install it. We've already talked about the licensing in the remote access lab. I'm sorry, in the remote access lecture. So the way you license that, the way you get evaluation license for your trial period, it is the same way as you would do in CCSA course, is the same way as you would do in the VPN course. You just go for all eval license. Alright, so let's begin. So the way you start, first of all, here's our management server. I don't have gateway capabilities here. When I was performing the installation, the only thing I did is the management server. And the reason for that, if you try to do a standalone, if you have your management capabilities with your gateway capabilities on one machine, you will not be able to install Endpoint Policy Management Server. You will receive an error message saying, hey, we're not able to install Endpoint Policy Management with your gateway. So anyway, if you have a distributed type of installation, if you have management server on one side and it's being connected to the gateway, it's fine. You can use that management server. For simplicity, I'm using only my management server, and all I have to do, I have to double click my main gateway, my main management server, and then go for Endpoint Policy Management and just click it. Once I did that, I'm gonna click OK, and then what we have to do, we have to install a database. You just go over here in the top left corner, navigate here and go for install database. It's a simple procedure. Basically what you do, you publish the changes to the database of your management server, and now it's aware that it has to perform endpoint capabilities. And then you install the policy. It's gonna take you maybe 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, once it's done, the next thing you have to do, you click here as well and go for Smart Endpoint. It's gonna open a different window, which is completely different set of policies from what we usually see in Checkpoint. But that's why I think it's fun to actually play around with this, especially if you have a trial version and you understand things from a different perspective. Because when we speak about, let's say, CCSA course, CCSE, when we talk about VPN course, we always think about perimeter firewall. Something we define a perimeter and we put it somewhere in our network and we protect that type of network. But over here we speak about the protection of the endpoint agent, and I think it's fun. So anyway, we have a different console here. Actually, if you want to open that console, you can, when you install a smart console on your computer, the smart endpoint is being installed as well, so you don't always have to open it from your smart console. You can just look it from your computer for Checkpoint Smart Endpoint and connect to the same address. Basically, you are connecting to your basically you are connecting to your IP address the same way as you would connect on your management server. I have different IP addresses defined, which all are available for the connection. I used any GUI client is able to connect, so the same idea. Anyway, we have different tabs here. We have overview, where you can see all your endpoints that are being aligned with your compliance, with your company security policy. You can see where you have security warnings, security violations, where the deployment has failed, where the endpoint client was not able to be installed. You can see all that type of information here. Then we have the policy. The policy is huge here. It has different blades combinations. Let me just make it this way. So first we talk about the blades that are available for the installation on the endpoint. Okay, first of all, we have full disk encryptions. We are able to encrypt a whole drive. Basically, it's a good thing for the computer, a remote computer we give out to an employee, and he is on vacation trying to work, and his laptop is being installed. So the full disk encryption is making sure that a hacker or someone who is still in the laptop is not able to view that information on that laptop. So the sensitive information is being protected. The next thing is media encryption and port protection. I honestly didn't work much with that stuff, but what it does, it encrypts the flash drive, the USB stick you're trying to put in your laptop, and sometimes it doesn't let you basically it doesn't allow you to put that flash drive and get the information from your laptop to your USB stick. So you are protecting the ports on your laptop, on your computers. Alright, so the next really interesting thing here is basically the anti-malware. That thing here is basically a regular antivirus, as you normally would see in different vendors. But the really interesting thing here, we have a Sandblast agent, which contains 3 different parts. We have threat extraction, threat emulation, anti-exploit, we have anti-bot, and we have anti-ransomware. First, let's start with Sandblast threat emulation and threat extraction. Basically, what it is, if your antivirus engine is not able to get the information on whether the signature, the hash, is valid or not, if it's being infected or not, because sometimes this is the case. Sometimes hackers are able to change the hash sum of the file, and the antivirus one is checking the hash sum of the infected file with the hash sum of your file you're trying to download. They do not match, and basically if the file doesn't exist, if this hash sum of the file you're trying to download doesn't exist in your cache or in the cloud, it thinks it's virus free. It doesn't have any malware. But I'm saying that hackers have the malware that can change the hash sum of the malware. I hope it makes sense, and if this is the case, if we're trying to download that malware, the antivirus blade is going to say, hey, it's fine, you can download that. And this is the problem. So the Sandblast agent, how it works, it's an amazing tool, because basically what happens, if the file has been allowed by the antivirus, it then gets to the Sandblast, and the Sandblast emulates the file in the virtual environment. It can be Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows 8, you choose the platform where the file has to be emulated, and you choose whether it's a cloud. It can be a cloud, or it can be a physical appliance if you get one from Checkpoint. So basically you choose where the file has to be emulated. What happens? The file gets, let's say it's Excel file or a doc file, a document. It gets to the virtual environment and it's being opened over there. And if the file is doing something bad, something malicious, something that the doc file is not supposed to do, the file gets blocked. Then the hash sum of the file is being added to the database. The next time you try to download that file, it will be blocked. But it's blocked actually right away the first time. The only problem here is that it takes up to 5 minutes for the file to complete the emulation. This is threat emulation. How Checkpoint basically works with that issue, with that 5-minute wait time, it has a blade called threat extraction. What is threat extraction is, while the file is being emulated, while your doc file or Excel file or any other form type of file is being emulated, threat extraction basically converts the file to the virus-free copy. It excludes all macros, everything that contains in the file, and it rebuilds it. So basically it looks kind of the same, but it doesn't have any macros. You are not able to play around with the file as much, but it has the same information. It has everything the original file had in the same structured order. And you get the file right away. So once the emulation is complete, you can click get the original file in your converted file, and you will get the original file if it doesn't have any viruses. This is how threat emulation and threat extraction work in pair. It also has anti-exploit. That thing is really awesome because there are certain viruses that try to exploit your CPU on CPU level, not on the let's say when we try to exploit the file, it's happening on the operating system level, but there are certain viruses where when the situation take place on CPU level. With anti-exploit, it is able to detect any behavior that is trying to affect your CPU and block it right away without sending it to emulation. Another cool thing here is called anti-ransomware and forensics. What is anti-ransomware? Basically what it is, when there are things that affect the writing on the file. So, like you have read, write, and execute on the file. If something is trying to perform something with your file, Checkpoint endpoint agent is adding a DLL to that file. The process that is trying to add a writing process, Checkpoint adds a DLL, and if something happens to the file after the writing has been complete, Checkpoint is able to restore it back to the original state. So if with anti-ransomware, you know how it works, it's trying to encrypt all your data and then they ask for the money so they can unencrypt it. So with Checkpoint, because you are able to restore back to the original state, you can restore back to the unencrypted state because you have that DLL put in place when the writing process was going on. The forensics is a really cool thing. What it is, you are able to see how when the virus or the malware has affected your system, you are able to see the whole tree DNA of the virus and see how it affected your computer, how it affected your processes, which PID was opened during the process, and you are able to make a report This is a really cool thing. I haven't seen it like this in any other vendor. It looks really awesome, and I do recommend that you test it and use it in your production. It has other stuff as you would normally see in a normal perimeter firewall, like URL filtering, where you are able to control the traffic based on URL groups. It has a firewall where you can control inbound traffic and outbound traffic on the remote machine, and other stuff, right? It has a lot of stuff. I believe explaining all of that stuff is a completely different course on endpoint security. So I'm trying to explain really awesome things here that you can use when you work with this product. So anyway, apart from the policy, what do you have? You have users and computers, where you define groups where those policies will be installed. This is the groups by default, and then you can add your own groups. Here's the reporting tab, where you can download reports and play around with this. And here's the deployment thing. And I believe this is one of the most important thing to understand here when you start working with the Sandblast agent, with the endpoint security from Checkpoint. And I will show you now how to actually install how to install it on your remote computer. Okay, let's begin.